We all love the Low Country lifestyle, which is why we should do our best to protect it. To get insurance that helps you protect your home from whatever the Low Country throws at you, contact CT Lowndes and Company today. Their local agents can review your coverage to help make sure you're properly protected. CT Lowndes and Company has been helping protect and insuring the Low Country since 1850. Visit ctlowndes.com to learn more and request a quote. That's CTLOWNDES.com.
Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
To Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm Kenyon.
I'm Lucy.
Okay. That's Amanda.
I'm Amanda.
And that ladylike wallflower is Amanda. She just fades into the background.
I blend in.
She'd be a great documentarian.
Just fades into the background. Oh,
So anyway,
that's fun.
we have a very special fan pick this week brought to you by our fan picker, Jennifer Matarese.
The Matarese Falcon. Matarese.
I need a new Matarese.
Oh, Matarese firm.
Matarese. I have no idea, Jennifer. I'm so sorry. Jennifer M.
Nailing it.
And Jennifer has selected the topic of criminal disasters.
Yes.
So basically, big old bad shit that happens because of usually one person or like a system failure.
A corporation.
Think Chernobyl level events.
Yeah.
Or Chernobyl-like events.
Yeah. When you ask, how bad could it be? Or what's the worst that could happen?
We're going to answer.
This.
Or someone
Yes.
must be in charge. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Y'all.
probably fine. They wouldn't let all of us be at risk. Oh, yes, they fucking would.
I remember I texted you guys while finishing my notes this morning, just being like, I am full of rage.
Yeah.
You said
Get
prepare to
ready.
be infuriating.
Yeah. Infuriating.
Well, the thing that helps that is usually alcohol.
Can we drink, please?
Let's do it. Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for criminal disasters?
Oh my gosh, she's sweating. I have paired this week a delicious selection from our friends over at Wink Wine Club, which is the online wine club that delivers wine directly to your door or your local Walgreens or
Your employer.
your employer or your Walgreens
Or your
right
mom's
across the
house.
state border or your mom's house. Really kind of wherever you want it to go, it can go. And we are still running this amazing special. So definitely go unlock that offer at trywink.com/wine and crime special. And while you're there filling your cart, become a member. It is 100% worth it. So again, this bottle we're about to open, regular price, $16.99, but for members of Wink Wine Club, $14.99.
Look at those savings. They add up, man.
They add up. So
Yeah.
get your offer, get your membership, get your great pricing, and get your Cocomero Rosé.
Oh, one of my faves. I get
yeah,
this
I
one a lot.
love that one.
Love this one so much. And I thought the stories today might be a little Coco Barans.
Oh, yes. The stories today are Cuckoo Bananas.
I thought
Yeah.
sloppy Cocomero Bananas might be the best possible pairing for us today. Like I said, this is a stunningly beautiful rosé. Nice and light in body. It's not super fruit forward. It's actually a woodier, like drier rosé.
It is quite dry.
I
it's
love
delicious.
it. It's really
kind
delicious.
of deceptively dry for the color.
Totally. It looks like it's going to be a fruit bomb.
Yeah, when you see the color, I was a little bit worried that it was going to be too sweet for me because I like a really dry rosé.
And it does have some of those like hints of watermelon, hints of like dried cranberry, a lime-like acidity, but then it's got a ton of minerality to balance that out. And then, like we said, it finishes really nice and dry. So it's like bright and juicy with a beautiful, clean, delicious finish, and
it's
it pairs
the perfect like warm weather wine.
And a great gift if you're invited over to a late summer party.
Oh my God, look how friggin' cute. Look how friggin' cute the label is. I mean, it's adorable. And it pairs great with shellfish, cheeses, fruits, French fries.
That is all I eat.
Yeah.
Chicken chalupa supreme.
It's the best.
Which I had for lunch today, thanks to yesterday's recording.
I haven't gotten one yet. I need to go.
You gotta do it.
I DoorDashed it. I couldn't wait for my hair to dry to get in my car.
Yes. Are you two done?
I love Taco Bell.
Okay,
I was writing down chicken chalupa supreme in my notes so that I remembered to
I had
get
2
one
last
tomorrow.
night. So good.
I got 10 Diablo sauces. Not enough.
I love it. I love it. So Cocomero translates to watermelon in Italian, although this is a California rosé, but it's sort of like a nod to Italian rosés.
I thought it was just a fun name, Cocomero.
I wish. I mean, it's still a fun name.
Yeah.
It's also a popper, so you're going to want to grab your nice pop wine key from wineandcrimepodcast.bigcartel.com and really screw it in.
Jam it in.
Really jam it in. It's very jammy. That's not true.
You've got your Kentucky Derby glass.
I
I'm
do.
so jealous.
Oh, that's cute.
She's got a lot of cute Derby glasses.
I do. Because Louisville is like all the antique stores here are just lousy with them. They're like 99 cents.
Lousy with Derby. All right, are we ready to pop?
Let's do
so
it.
ready.
Here we go.
Oh,
Just a gentle little pop.
Deceptively dry pop.
Deceptively dry.
All right.
Oh,
Disastrous pop.
cheers, my dears.
Cheers.
Enjoy this ASMR.
Cheers.
I'm drinking some tequila.
I got my claw in my sheepskin koozie.
Oh,
Look
yes.
at the color on that beauty.
Oh,
It's really, really pretty.
that's like my favorite nail polish color. It's like
Craving
an orangey coral. Yeah.
All right. Well, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for criminal disasters? Why do people cause so much pain?
There's no psych.
There's no psych. Those
There's
are
no
my
psych.
goat bones.
Woo!
Also, if you're watching this on Patreon and you're watching this video, since Kenyon asked, first thing I'm just going to say out loud, my shirt says Jesus loves sluts.
Obviously.
I don't
duh.
remember where I got it. Just Google Jesus loves sluts t-shirt. You'll find it.
I love it.
Don't at me.
Just Google it. Just go on your mother or grandmother's computer and start Googling Jesus loves sluts. It'll be fine.
It'll probably pop up as like a recommended search term.
A lot of
Really-
things will pop up.
Really fuck with their targeted advertising.
You'll get a lot of pop-ups.
Yeah, you will. Okay, so I started my research thinking that I was going to talk about my typical like background and or psych stuff, but I found a case that I knew neither of you were covering and I went down a fucking rabbit hole.
Ooh,
So basically,
I love
I'm
when you
gonna-
surprise us with an extra case.
Yeah, I'm going to talk briefly about like legality and then I'm going to blow your fucking minds with a
Okay.
case that you may have heard about, but I'm guessing maybe not. Okay. So when talking about criminal disasters, my mind went to criminal negligence, which is like the legal, it's the legal term. So that's what I will be sharing with you first. So the legal definition of negligence is, quote, failure to use reasonable care that a reasonable person would, resulting in damage or injury to another.
What if you're not a reasonable person?
Then you're negligent.
Okay.
In the court of law.
Right.
Could be proven that you're negligent. But that said...
Or maybe not competent.
Right.
What were you going to say, Kenyon?
That's what I was going to say, like if you were found to not be competent to stand trial, then that is one thing.
Well, yes, there's a whole gamut of reasons why a person might not be found competent.
The Queen's gamut.
I'm not going to get into that because that's just up to like slippery lawyers to kind of figure out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lawyer has to prove 4 elements of negligence to settle a case. And the first of those elements is duty. So the defendant owed a legal, they have to prove that a defendant owed a legal duty to the plaintiff under the circumstances.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, like, you can't be held responsible if you're not responsible for that scenario or that place.
That's like the very basic thing. It was your duty to take care of something.
Right.
The second thing is breach. So they have to prove that the defendant breached that legal duty by acting or failing to act in a certain way. The next thing is causation. They have to prove that it was the defendant's actions or inaction that caused the plaintiff's injury.
Okay.
And finally, they have to prove damages, that the plaintiff was harmed or injured as a result of the defendant's actions.
So, like, if lightning struck a McDonald's, the manager would not really be held responsible for that.
Absolutely not.
Right.
No.
Right.
Certain crimes base culpability on a criminally negligent standard. So an example of this is involuntary manslaughter. To be convicted of this crime and held criminally negligent, the prosecutor will have to prove that the defendant killed someone unintentionally, but acted with unlawful negligence when they did it.
I have that in my
like,
case.
So, like, drinking and driving.
Yes. Or like texting and driving, or like, firing a gun into the air and like somehow that killed someone or whatever. A term that is often confused with negligence is neglect. These two terms are related, but they describe 2 very different kinds of actions.
Neglect is like intentional.
Both civil and criminal negligence describe failures to exercise reasonable levels of care in certain circumstances, but neglect describes a type of abuse where a person fails to care for someone who cannot care for themselves.
That makes sense.
This often occurs in familiar or other caretaking settings.
Children, the elderly, etc.
Exactly, yeah. So that would be criminal neglect versus negligence. Negligence shows the least level of culpability, so intention being the most serious and recklessness being of like intermediate seriousness.
Okay.
And negligence overlaps with gross negligence. I didn't get too far into gross negligence, but I think it would just be like if you were really being a fucking idiot.
Or like if there were like warnings and you had opportunities to address something and you failed to do so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there's a gross negligence charge in one of my stories today, too, for like that exact reason.
Yeah.
My case is really different and actually has nothing to do with negligence because it's totally intended. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, I'm a dork. So I was listening to an audio.
I'm a dork.
I was listening to an audiobook about the history of like medieval Europe. And
have you seen Green Knight yet?
No.
It's really good.
Green Knight?
I've
what is
read
that? Is that the movie you went to this afternoon?
Yeah, yes, that's the story.
Oh.
Starring Dev Patel. It's so fucking good. I went and saw it today.
I love him.
I know. He's fucking amazing. So go see it. 20 out of 10. It was phenomenal. Anyway.
Cool. Did a lot of heads get cut off?
Yeah. Well, that's the story, man.
Can I stream it at home? Because I don't want to go to a movie theater.
Maybe
yet.
not immediately, but I'm sure soon, given COVID. We went to a matinee, so we were the only ones there.
What's it called? Green Neglect?
The Green Neglect. Just Google that. The Green Knight.
I'm going to write down Green
That
Neglect.
is the story of me and my indoor house plants.
Oh, God.
Knight? N-I or K-N-I?
No.
K-N-I.
Like a knight. Like the Knights of the Round Table.
I didn't know. Maybe knights are green. Have you ever seen a thunderstorm? Jeez.
Okay, so back to I'm a dork. This relates to what we were talking about.
Mine did too.
Apparently, even back in like the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages in Europe, and I'm assuming everywhere else, but where I was learning about was Europe, they had the same kind of distinctions within the legal system of like intent versus something being involuntary but still causing the harm and having there be like lesser charges
That makes
for
sense.
those offenses. Yeah.
So like it's not quite accidental,
right.
but it's not quite intentional.
Right.
And it's not quite reckless either.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. So the distinction between recklessness and criminal negligence lies in the presence or absence of foresight as the prohibited consequences, as to the prohibited consequences. But I also read a lot about civil negligence versus like criminal negligence.
Sure.
So an example of civil negligence would be maybe not salting your sidewalk in the wintertime and your neighbor falls down or something like that. So there are a lot of different distinctions when it comes to negligence. And again, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but that's just sort of like the basic parameter. And this is where I plummeted down a rabbit hole. So this is where my case starts.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
One of history's worst industrial disasters happened in December of 1984 in a city called Bhopal. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing. I think it's Bhopal. And that's a city in India. And this is regarded as a result of criminal negligence. So here is a rundown of events from my boyfriend, Encyclopedia Britannica. On December 3rd, 1984, about 45 tons of the dangerous gas methyl isocyanate.
Oh, no.
That doesn't sound good.
It's not. And
It
this
has
is
cyanide basically in it.
in the title.
cyanate.
I know, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, the cyan, whatever. And so this is abbreviated as MIC. That will be important as we move on. MIC. Okay, so 45 tons of this escaped from an insecticide plant that was
No.
owned by the Indian subsidiary of the American firm Union Carbide Corporation. So
Don't
UCC.
trust it. Doesn't sound good.
You shouldn't. Spoiler, it didn't end well. The gas drifted over the densely populated neighborhoods around the plant, killing thousands of people immediately.
Oh my God.
What?
Like
and
from breathing it, they immediately died?
well, yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get the fuck into it.
Oh my God.
And created a panic as tens of thousands of others attempted to flee the city. The final death toll was estimated to be between 15 and 20,000 people.
What the fuck?
How
I
have
know.
we not heard of this?
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Because it happened in India, and our education is extremely whitewashed
Yeah.
and Western-centric.
Holy shit.
So death toll between 15 and 20,000, but estimates vary widely. And this is no doubt a result of attempted cover-ups by the company
absolutely.
and by the government, which
Oh
we will
my
also
God.
get.
So just to kind of paint a picture here. So basically there was some kind of leak and it's gas and the gas is drifting over this city and people start literally inhaling it and immediately dropping dead. Thousands of people. And then people don't know what the fuck is going on. And so they're just seeing a bunch of people around them drop dead and then they're running and fleeing.
Kind of. We'll get to the timeline.
That is
that
an
was just a big
actual nightmare.
overview. Oh yeah.
Holy
So
fuck.
I'll get into kind of the play-by-play here.
Okay.
Some 500,000 survivors suffered respiratory problems, eye irritation or blindness, and other maladies resulting from exposure to the toxic gas. Many were awarded compensation of a few $100.
No.
Well, like US dollars, which I don't know if that would translate to like a large sum for these families, but my guess is fucking not. And also
Not large
this,
enough.
Not
this
enough.
corporation is based in the US, so like
They
fuck
can
them.
afford it. Yeah.
Fucking fuck them.
Right, exactly. So it shouldn't be based on local income standards. It should be
You're right.
based on that company
And also
what they can afford to pay out.
And how much they put a
Human
monetary
life?
value on human life. A lot of which were children, by the way. Investigations later established that substandard operating and safety procedures at the understaffed plant had led to the catastrophe.
Oh my God.
Weird.
So they're cutting corners and then fucking 20,000 people die.
When was this?
84.
84. Okay.
A government
Wow.
affidavit in 2006 stated that the leak caused 558,125 injuries, including 38,478 temporary partial injuries and approximately 3,900 severely and permanently disabling injuries.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Others
See, now
as-
I'm interested, so I'm going to my favorite website, My Boyfriend, Time Money Converter.
Newspapers.com. Oh, okay.
Wait, who's your boyfriend?
Time Money Converter.
Oh, right.
Oh, yes.
Your other boyfriend. That's right.
So I'm gonna look that up while you continue.
So let's just say $300 in 1984 in India. It
Right.
can't have been that much money. Others estimate that 8,000 died within 2 weeks, and another 8,000 or more have since died from gas-related diseases.
My God.
So going way back,
Ugh.
there were a couple of earlier leaks at that plant also. In 1976, a worker was completing a maintenance job when he accidentally was splashed with phosgene. And that is an organic chemical compound that is extremely poisonous. In fact, it was used as a chemical weapon during World War I.
Wow.
So that's phosgene. We'll kind of come back to that a little bit later. The worker panicked because he knew that this was like a toxic liquid. So he tore off his gas mask, causing him to inhale a large amount of the lethal phosgene gas.
oh God.
And he was dead within 72 hours. Journalist Raj Kumar Kaswani published his investigation of the incident, writing, quote, "Wake up, people of Bhopal, you are on the edge of a volcano."
Oh, my God.
And this was in 76. So there were several more leaks in 1982, and during 83 and 84, there were also leaks of MIC, chlorine, monomethylamine, more phosgene, and carbon tetrachloride, sometimes in combination, just to jazz it up.
God.
So, like,
Ugh.
this plant was
It was a fucking
leaking
mess.
all over the place.
Really bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what happened in December 1984, you ask? Basically, the liquid MIC was being stored in underground tanks, which were also pumped with inert nitrogen gas, which acted to fill the empty space in the tanks, therefore pressurizing the liquid MIC and allowing it to be pumped out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And that's how it was supposed to work.
That's how it's supposed to
Right.
work. And it's inert nitrogen gas, so like it's fine. It was just acting as a pressurizing agent to pump out MIC for the MIC to be processed into whatever insecticide, blah, blah, blah. UCC safety regulations, and that's their own company's safety regulations, specified
Right.
that each tank should be filled no more than 50% with MIC. So only half of these tanks should have been, at most, should have been filled with this MIC.
Oh, my God.
In October, the tank that ended up leaking, the first tank that ended up leaking, was 70% full of MIC. So it was already overfilled.
And that's just because somebody dropped the ball. Somebody wasn't paying attention.
Don't know why it was that high.
Okay.
But yes, that's just one thing.
Or they
So-
didn't want to buy a new tank.
Right.
Well, they had several tanks. So
Okay.
I can't answer why it was so overfilled, but that's just one aspect of this.
Okay.
That tank had also lost the ability to contain the pressurized nitrogen. At the time, the flare tower, so if you think of like an oil refinery, there's like the tower with the little flame on top.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that is used to kind of burn off excess gas. It's also used to, okay. So the flare tower was closed down to repair a corroded pipe. That's why it was not functional.
Okay.
Flare towers are typically present at any industrial plant for a variety of safety, testing, and emergency purposes. So this is a very standard thing to have at a plant like this, and it serves a variety of purposes. And it just
So, like,
was
if
not.
the flame is like suddenly like purple or really huge, then
Yeah, it's
there's
like,
probably like an issue, and you want to look into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that would be one of the purposes of this.
Okay.
So it was not in use. By late evening of December 2nd, many valves and lines were in poor condition, and water had begun to leak into that MIC tank, the one in question, the 70% full one, causing a, quote, runaway exothermic reaction.
That is some real Chernobyl vibes, that sentence.
It's absolute Chernobyl vibes. Yeah. So this whole plant, she was just a big old mess. She's a fucking mess. Some employees had determined that there was an MIC leak coming from one of the tanks, but decided to deal with it after their break at midnight.
Oh, good.
Because their break was like 10 minutes away, and they were like, we'll deal with it in like 45 minutes. That's fine.
Okay, I do identify with that. Which is why I don't work at an insecticide plant.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Also, these employees are, as far as culpability, like it's just all over the place. Like the
Well, I'm
people
sure they're
who are
fucking
to blame about
underpaid.
this.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
undertrained and under fucking staffed.
Yep. Yep. By the time they got back from their break, pressure from inside the tank had gone from the standard 2 psi to over 55 psi.
Wow.
And just as an example, the air pressure in your tires
Yeah.
are around 30.
Right, and that's terrifying. I hate having to put fucking air in my tires.
I
always
fucking
think
do too.
Yeah,
it's gonna like
it's
explode and
spooky.
blind me.
I don't like it.
So that's only 30. So these tanks are this one tank at least was over 55
Fuck.
When it's supposed to be 2.
when it's normally 2. Yeah.
Imagine if you tried to inflate your tires that many times past their limit. If you were like, okay, my tires should be about 300.
I don't even know. Like, no, I don't even know. I would hope that those little air hoses would just stop working.
A lot of the newer ones do.
That's good.
They calculate PSI while you're filling it. There's a gas station that I go to where it's like that, so I'm not as freaked out by it.
I just have them do it when I go get my oil changed, and I try not to think about it any other time. But also, I like never drive, so whatever.
Yeah.
So clearly, safety devices were failing fucking left and right. And over the course of 2 hours, like I said, 40 tons of MIC gas escaped and was blown south over the city of Bhopal.
Jesus.
You guys, it gets so much worse. An employee triggered the plant's alarm system at 12:50 a.m. as the concentration of gas in and around the plant became difficult to tolerate. So the employees were like, "Oh fuck!" Like
We can't breathe.
yeah. Activation of the system triggered 2 siren alarms, one that sounded inside the UCIL plant itself and a second directed to the exterior, which would, in theory, alert the public and the city of Bhopal.
In theory.
In theory.
And in
God.
1984, the population of Bhopal was roughly 782,000.
It's a big old city. Like,
Yeah, it's
that's a
India.
lot of people.
Like, all the
India.
fucking cities are big.
highly condensed, lots of
densely
people.
populated, yeah.
The 2 siren systems had been decoupled from one another in 1982, 2 years
Why?
earlier. I don't know. It's yet another failure. There are just failure after failure this whole way through. So that it was possible to leave the factory warning siren on while turning off the public one, which is exactly what was done. The public siren briefly sounded at 12:50 a.m., but was quickly turned off as per company procedure, meant to avoid alarming the public around the factory over tiny leaks. So even if there was a little tiny leak, they didn't want the whole city
Right.
panicking,
Freak
which
out.
I get
it,
but also
but-
like fucking, you can't just not have an alarm system
Sure, but at
with
the
a plant
same
this big.
at the same time, like, there's no way the city is trained to know what that alarm fucking means and
Oh, they
how to
are.
react to it.
They are.
They are?
It was my impression from what I read that this plant was like the big hub of the city.
That's like the
Okay.
city's
Like everyone knew what
infrastructure is. Like people live there to work there, basically.
everyone knew that
Okay.
it was there. what it was.
So if the siren goes off, people understand that is from that factory.
Mm-hmm. We gotta go.
And it's a chemical leak and we need to do something.
That is my impression, especially given those previous leaks. Mm-hmm. Like everybody knew that there was like a chemical plant, and every now and again, a bunch of poisonous gases get leaked out.
But it's also like India, and so like, I mean, I don't have a fucking gas mask at home. You know, I don't have like an eye wash station in my home. And I have all the privilege in the world and could actually like go out and afford to buy these things. It's not like these people in Bhopal had any kind of remedy.
Right.
If
Any
the
protection
siren did
in
go
their
off.
home. Yeah.
They don't even have cars. Like, what are you going to do? Like,
we'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll fucking get to I got a ways to go. Okay, so workers, meanwhile, who had heard the siren inside the plant, evacuated the plant and headed upwind because they knew where to go and what was going on.
Oh, good. Save
So
yourselves.
they got the fuck out of there. But if you're enraged now, just wait, because it gets even worse. Way
I'm just
fucking worse.
sad.
Yeah, honey.
It's so sad.
At about 1 a.m., a Bhopal town inspector was the first one to call the superintendent of police, informing them that the neighborhood of Chola was being evacuated because of a gas leak, and Chola was located about 2 kilometers from the plant. Mm-hmm. The police repeatedly called the plant between 1:25 and 2:10 a.m., but the employees kept reassuring the police that everything was under control. And finally, during the last call, the employee they were speaking to said, we don't know what happened, sir. So finally, they were sort of admitting that something
shit had hit the fan.
And because it took so fucking long to even confirm that something was happening, the local hospital had no way of preparing for or knowing what the fuck was going on. First, the hospital was told that the leak was ammonia. And then they were told that it was phosgene, which I mentioned earlier. That was the guy who died within 72 hours. Finally, they were told that it was, quote, MIC, but nobody at the hospital knew what that acronym stood for, and nobody told them.
Oh my God. So they couldn't even treat it if they wanted to because they didn't know what the fuck it was.
Exactly.
Holy
MIC,
shit.
what the fuck is that? So by 2 a.m., the gas had basically stopped leaking because all of it was gone out of the tank.
Oh my God.
And
So it was just the one tank that was leaking.
I
Not
believe
just,
so.
but-
I believe so, yes. And at 2:15, an hour and a half after the leak started, the public siren finally sounded
Oh my God.
like extendedly. Most residents who were exposed to the gas realized it as they were being exposed rather than having heard the siren and having an opportunity to flee or shelter in place. So
no.
basically, they either woke up coughing or vomiting, or they heard like a ruckus and they came outside and then they were exposed to this gas. Like it was a complete clusterfuck.
That's so
How
sad.
fucking scary. Imagine the air that you're breathing just...
Becomes toxic without your knowledge.
Yep. And has an immediate effect. Mm-hmm. So regarding the effects, the initial effects of exposure were coughing, severe eye irritation, and a feeling of suffocation, burning in the respiratory tract, blepharospasm, which is eye spasms.
Oh,
so your
wow.
eyes get all fucked up.
Ow. Okay.
Breathlessness, stomach pains, and vomiting. And an interesting fact here, children and other residents of shorter stature inhaled higher concentration as methyl, as the
Does it
MIC
sink?
is
'Cause it's
approximately
slow.
twice as dense as air. And
Oh my
therefore,
God.
in an open environment, it like sinks down close to the ground.
It's like carbon dioxide or monoxide.
Carbon monoxide is
monoxide. Oh my
so
God.
like younger people, presumably older people, people closer to the ground, maybe people with disabilities, those were the ones that were affected the worst.
Or
Oh,
people
holy
sleeping on the
shit.
ground,
People
which is very
sleeping,
common
yeah.
in India. Oh my God.
Thousands of people had died by the following morning.
Wow.
Primary causes of death were choking, reflexogenic circulatory collapse, and pulmonary edema, and that is fluids building up in the lungs.
Yeah.
Findings during autopsies revealed changes not only in the lungs, but also cerebral edema, which is fluids building up in the brain. Tubular necrosis of the kidneys. So, like, your kidneys just fucking
Start to die.
dying. Fatty degeneration of the liver and necrotizing enteritis. I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Necra anything
It's
you
dying.
don't want.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. Whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
fucking. I mean, that autopsies it caused
Gastric
death.
enteritis is bad enough. Necrotizing enteritis, no thanks.
No. The stillbirth rate increased by up to 300%,
Oh my God.
and the neonatal mortality rate by around 200%.
God.
So children and pregnant women suffered a great deal because of this, because of the physiological effects of this gas.
Yeah, it's fucking oxygen being perverted by chemicals.
Poisoning, yeah.
Oh,
Obviously, the plant was closed the next day while the
Yeah.
Indian government conducted an investigation, the results of which they refused to make public.
Oh, good.
So, like, the town was, there were just like rampant rumors and
Yeah.
What is
misinformation.
the purpose of a government investigation that is not
Money.
made public?
Money.
Stalling.
Downplaying money, stalling.
I know for sure, but like, it should just that should be the default. Is that it is publicly?
It should. You are right about that. Ugh.
In the following days, Union Carbide organized a team of international medical experts to work with the community and presumably try to salvage the company from a PR perspective. They still had not prepared local medical professionals on how to treat MIC poisoning at this point.
And now that they know exactly what it is and have no reason not to
There
provide
was a
that.
major communication dysfunction when it came to communicating with the local medical professionals on what this is and how to treat it.
Which, like, that should be in place before a
If
plant
it's
is
just a
even
risk,
built.
even a tiny, minuscule risk of that happening.
Right. It's like before a plant is built, they should have
Contingency for everything.
these plans written down and in place and distributed to local hospitals, whatever, and like the company should pay for the training of local hospital staff in how to treat in case there's an emergency. And like all of that should be set up beforehand.
So I don't know the specifics of what's happened since then, but I do know that this particular incident inspired a whole bunch of legislation around the world in terms of industrial plants.
Wow.
And all
their
of this is just
protocols.
making me think so much about the PG&E thing, fucking Aaron Brackovich, and also the town in Michigan,
Oh,
Flint.
Flint. The water
Flint,
crisis.
Michigan, without with the fucking lead fucking pipe water.
Yep.
They
Still,
still don't
now,
have
today.
clean water.
And we just passed like what, a $3 trillion infrastructure bill. And if Flint getting fucking clean water is not part of that,
It is actually, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
There's
but
a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
like lead pipe remediation in the bill, actually.
okay, good.
So thank Democrats.
But they also deserve
Well, yeah, there
their
was
own.
zero support.
But it's
from.
years
They deserve
late.
their own
Right.
overhaul because
Oh, yeah.
that's just
They
like
that should be prioritized.
And people who are like, well, just move in the free market. It's like no one's going to buy a house
move.
in a place where there isn't fucking clean drinking water.
well,
So-
and then you just, I guess, fuck you, poor folks who can't afford to, quote, just move.
Yeah.
So they don't deserve to have clean drinking water. Like,
And a lot of communities
Fuck
are
that.
on the edge of a Flint level
Yeah.
catastrophe also.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole Flint was just the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't trust your drinking water. Like, do look into it a little bit. It's probably not as clean as you think.
Okay, so hospitals were totally overrun, and about 70% of doctors treating these victims at this time were underqualified. So they were just bringing in like fucking anyone that knew how to put on a Band-Aid
yeah.
to like,
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you're a doctor in a certain community and you're used to treating certain things. You're not used to treating a mass
Right.
chemical event.
the community was doing the best that they
Absolutely.
fucking could.
Right.
Yeah.
They were just so poorly equipped to handle something of this scale.
Right.
And that's the tragedy here. Over the next couple of weeks, the government of India passed the Bhopal Gas Leak Disaster Act that gave the government rights to represent all victims, whether or not they were in India. So there were also suits in the United States because that's, again, where the company was based. So Warren Anderson, who's the CEO, was the CEO of Union Carbide Corporation, went back and forth with the U.S. and Indian governments for years about how much they owed to the victims and their families. They finally settled on $470 million plus $17 million to fund a local hospital specifically for the victims. Because, again, this was a chemical, like, it infected these families for generations. There are still babies being born with
it's
debilitating conditions, deformities, all that stuff.
It's akin to, like, Agent Orange, practically.
Absolutely.
In terms of the long-term effects.
Yes.
God, that's horrific.
Despite having retired in 1986, Bhopal authorities charged Warren Anderson in 1991 with manslaughter, a crime that carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. He was declared a fugitive from justice for failure to appear in Indian court, but the U.S. refused to extradite him. I'm sorry, I've had like 3 White Claws. U.S. federal class action litigation, which was called Sahu versus Union Carbide and Warren Anderson, was filed in 1999 under the U.S. Alien Torts Claims Act. Never heard of that. Love a good tort.
Love a tort. I love a chocolate tort, and I love a criminal and civil tort.
An alien tort, which provides for civil remedies for crimes against humanity. So basically, this allowed for, I think, anyone, like, it kind of, it's my understanding that it kind of bypassed the extradition laws and allowed different communities around the world to sue anybody if it's for a crime against humanity.
Sure.
So that it gets rid of that, like, curtain to, you know, that shield.
To force the U.S. to extradite him if he can be charged by foreigners in the U.S. where he resides.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually extradition, but it is some element of litigation. It's not extradition.
Instead of this guy and this company being charged in India, they're being charged in the U.S. by anyone.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So it sought damages for personal injury, medical monitoring, and injunctive relief in the form of cleanup of the drinking water supplies for residential areas near the Bhopal plant. The lawsuit was dismissed in 2012 and the subsequent appeal was denied. So that went nowhere. Warren Anderson was never actually punished for this.
Wow.
He died on September 29th, 2014 at the age of 92. And I will just say, in terms of like corporate negligence, corporate crimes, it's not, quote unquote, fair to charge the CEO of a company like this because surely he wasn't like keeping tabs on the safety measures at this one specific plant. However, somebody has to be held culpable for this.
Right.
And
I think if you're a CEO of a corporation that is potentially dangerous, then it is your responsibility to make sure that shit, there's contingency plans for that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why limited liability exists for corporations, because it is essentially a corporation is a group of people working towards a common goal. And so if some of those people lower down in the food chain fuck up, you can't be held responsible for that every time. But at the same time, the responsibility is passed down and is shared in a case like this when a company is trying to cut corners by understaffing and not keeping
fixing their fucking flare tower.
Not fixing this tower, not addressing minor leaks, which are fucking red flags for a major leak like this. Like, exactly, it's a case of negligence, and so the buck has to stop somewhere. So while this Warren guy probably didn't know about this particular tank at this particular plant, like, at some point, the higher-ups are responsible for these fuck-ups.
Yep, exactly. And especially in a case like this where, like, there were so many fuck-ups across the board and actually so many people should have been responsible that it's impossible to divvy out that culpability.
I feel like is more diffuse than just this. Like, I feel like this particular suit, which was thrown out, so it didn't matter, but this particular suit doesn't really get at the full responsibility, I think. But at the same time, like, you have to make examples of some people if you hope to actually, like, enforce some of these other standards later on. You know what I mean?
And like the BP oil spill in like what was it, 2010 or something like that.
Right.
I don't recall anybody getting in trouble for that.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
But like we have, there has to be somebody held responsible, or else no corporation is going to respect these laws at all.
Yeah, Deepwater Horizon, that was 2020. 2020, you nailed it.
Nice. I remember watching it in my dorm room. It was I was very depressed that year. That did not help.
Yeah, that was pretty dark.
2010 was a dark year for me personally.
It prepared you for 2020.
Yeah, it
What was
did.
to come in the next decade.
Once a decade, I'll have horrible
A
depression
major
for like at least
depressive
8 months.
episode.
Yes.
And once a week, I'll have a minor depressive episode.
Right. And then turn it into something weirdly productive.
Yeah.
Anyway, Deepwater Horizon could be its own episode. But yeah, I don't think anybody actually went to jail. There were like some guilty.
There were some
pleas.
fines and like, but like
fines,
in a corporation like BP,
probation.
who the fuck cares?
Right.
They'll just throw some
The
like
company can
minor.
just pay for it at
They'll,
that point.
they'll
Yeah.
throw some minor employees, board members under the bus, pay a bunch of money, and keep doing what the fuck caused it in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, unless the fines are so large,
Debilitating.
That your
as-
company can't exist after paying them,
right,
basically.
or that it actually like offsets the harm, or it actually offsets the profit that you're making by cutting those corners
Right.
and causing the harm to begin with. Like, that's the thing with the fucking financial crisis. It's like the people that gave out those subprime loans and everything, they made so much more money than they eventually were fined that what do they fucking
They still
care?
profited,
Right.
off of that disaster.
And I think, don't
That
take my word for
criminal
this.
disaster.
I didn't put it in my notes, but I believe that when they were negotiating that settlement between this company and the Indian government, like the city of Bhopal, that India started out with like, okay, $3 billion. $3 billion. We'll call it even.
And it went down to
And they
what?
went all the way down to 470 million.
My God.
So you know that was a number where the company was just like, whatever.
Which sounds like a lot, but
But
not
when that many
when it
people are
comes to
affected.
not compared to
gas,
minimum 20,000 people
chemical.
plus
Right.
their future generations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking disgusting. Okay, so just to finish this out, in 2001, Dow Chemical Company bought out Union Carbide Corporation. At that time, more than 400 tons of industrial waste was still on the property in Bhopal.
Wow.
Soil and water contamination in the area was blamed for chronic health problems and high instances of birth defects in the area's inhabitants. In 2004, the Indian Supreme Court ordered the state to supply clean drinking water to the residents of Bhopal because of groundwater contamination. In June 2010, 7 former plant employees, all Indian nationals and most in their 70s by this point, were convicted of causing death by negligence. They were each sentenced to 2 years in prison and fined the equivalent of $2,500 and all were released on bail shortly thereafter. So,
And that's hard too because it's like, look, these plant employees, all like local Indian nationals, like maybe they were committing some neglect, but if they weren't given the resources and the training to do their jobs properly, then what else are you supposed to expect?
well, and all of these employees were like VP, supervisors, managers, blah, blah, blah. All those people that you would expect and assume would have that kind of training and who also should have raised some sort of alarm when, 3 of your 5 safety measures are fucking incapable of function. They're not functional.
Right.
Right.
So
Well, that's
I don't know.
horrific.
It is horrific. And there are some photos on the drive, one of which I will not be putting on the blog, but it is a very famous photograph of one of the very young victims of this disaster. It looks like Kenyon already deleted it.
I deleted it.
I
Amanda
did not delete it.
It was me.
I did
deleted it.
see it, and we will not be putting it on the blog because it involves a child victim.
It won't be on the blog, but like I said, it's a very famous photograph. If you're interested in this event, you're gonna come across it, but trigger warning for that. There's also a photo, it's labeled Bhopal 5, and it's a bunch of people, because there have been mass protests and activism events since then about restorative justice and all that stuff, and someone's holding a sign that says, "You want Osama, give us Anderson." And this was back in like 2000 when we were like, I guess 2009. But he was dead by then. Whatever.
I think he was killed in 2008.
Anderson was dead by then.
Oh, okay.
Anderson died in 2014. So this must have been in like 2010-ish, 2009-ish, when we were like actively, quote unquote, hunting Osama bin Laden. But they were just like, in their minds, that was a very equal thing. Like, I don't know. It's
Osama bin Laden was
awful.
responsible for killing like 3,000 Americans.
Yeah.
And in their minds, Warren Anderson was responsible for killing 20,000 of their community members.
Yeah.
So
immediate community, not even in their country, their city.
Yeah. Their
It's
neighbors, loved ones,
fucking-
families.
And for generations, you have all of these birth defects and horrible illnesses. I don't know. It's fucking awful. And
think
it's
if you-
also really sick that we have never heard. Like, the
I know.
three of
Never
us had
heard of
never
it.
heard of this.
No. I think if you work in an industry and for a company that deals in very dangerous substances, be it chemicals or pharmaceuticals, dealing with the fucking opioid crisis. Like, if you work in one of these industries with such high risk, you have to go through extra procedures to make sure that there aren't going to be these accidents.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if not, you're fucking liable.
Yep.
Damn.
All right.
So anyway, that's my case.
Great.
Horrible.
That's a great way to start this certain to be 4-hour episode of
I
tragedy.
went down a fucking rabbit hole, y'all. I couldn't help myself.
No, it was very informative. Like we said, I can't believe we had not heard of that. But also, of course, we hadn't heard of it.
Yep. Yep.
Well, let's hear-
Whitewashed
Wow.
history.
Yep.
Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors and
Let's do
drink
it.
more tequila.
Yeah.
Great idea, friend.
Did you know that OBGYNs actually recommend starting prenatal vitamins at least 1 month before conception?
At least.
At least. Sometimes several months before conception. I didn't know any of that stuff before we started trying to conceive. I was like pretty clueless. I kind of thought, once you're pregnant, then you figure out pregnancy stuff. But
yeah.
that's
like that was the first step.
right. But no, turns out no. So the thing is, you can't always predict exactly when getting pregnant might happen. And that is why Modern Fertility designed their prenatal multivitamin to help you build up your body's levels of key nutrients earlier and help you continue to meet increased nutrient demands all the way through to lactation.
The whole kit and caboodle. The Modern Fertility Prenatal Multivitamin is packed with 12 essential nutrients recommended by OBGYNs to support your body before, during, and after pregnancy. A to Z, people. It's vegetarian, gluten-free, and there are 0 preservatives or filler ingredients that you don't need. Because, when you're shooting for that baby, you really don't want a whole lot of extra stuff in your body.
No.
Modern Fertility balanced iron and other nutrient levels to keep your tummy happy, and they infuse every capsule with a hint of citrus to make each serving go down extra easy. Thank you, Modern Fertility, for that. The prenatal multi also comes with a free, beautifully blue reusable glass jar to keep your monthly refills in. And each month's shipment of new capsules comes in just the pouch to cut down on packaging waste.
I love that they send a reusable glass jar and then they've thought about being environmentally friendly with their packaging. It's just,
Yeah.
you know.
And you can just keep it on your bedside table. It's always right out there. You don't forget about it because it's an ugly packaging, so you stick it in your cabinet. You never look at it again.
Right. Yeah, no, you can like have this out and be reminded to take it. It makes so much sense. So your prenatal multi-subscription gets you 60 capsules per month for $30. But right now, our listeners can get 30% off their starter kit, including 1 month of capsules and a free glass storage jar at modernfertility.com/gals30. That's modernfertility.com/gals30, GALS30, for 30% off your Modern Fertility Prenatal Multivitamin Starter Kit. Again, that's modernfertility.com/gals30, and treat yo pregnancy. Treat it. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that is why it is America's #1 meal kit. And, you know, fall is busy. It is probably the busiest season. I don't know if you've got back to school stuff going on, but even for like
just planning a Halloween party, frankly.
Right. I mean, the stress alone. But HelloFresh recipes save time that you would otherwise spend meal planning, shopping, schlepping to the grocery store, chopping. You don't want to do any of that. You want to get back to what matters. So, HelloFresh makes life easy and fun. And their family-friendly menu is a big win for back-to-school season. They've got easy, delicious recipes for drama-free dinners with the kiddos.
And this season, HelloFresh has all sorts of new recipes. Oh my Lord. This late summer has got me just wanting to cook using like all my tomatoes.
Yeah.
Also, the other day I made the strawberry quinoa harvest salad that comes with garlic bread. It's like this super crunchy. It's got like carrots, almonds, quinoa, all these crunchy veggies. And I topped mine with some salmon. And I also threw some of my garden tomatoes in there because I'm getting so good at cooking. I can just throw things in on a whim. And guess what?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You're getting confident because of HelloFresh.
Confident, baby. This also came with a side of garlic bread. You know, I'm a huge fan of garlic bread. So whatever your schedule looks like this fall, whatever your tastes are, HelloFresh has literally something for absolutely everybody.
So go to HelloFresh.com/gals14, GALS14, and use code GALS14 for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. Go to HelloFresh.com/gals14 and use code GALS14 for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Are we ready for my case?
I don't know.
Which is also the fan pick case.
Oh, God.
So thanks/blame the fan picker.
You know it's
Can do.
intense.
All right. So very different from Lucy's case and everything we've been talking about because, like I said, there was a lot of intent involved in this
Criminal and law and order, criminal intent.
Criminal intent. There was some negligence, which was later addressed, but mostly this is fucking intent.
Okay.
So, David Augustus Burke was born in 1952 to Jamaican parents who were living in the United Kingdom. Later, the family emigrated to the United States and settled in Rochester, New York.
Yes.
Ooh, I can smell it from here.
One of my hometowns.
Yeah, Amanda lived there very briefly.
Lots of industrial
2 years
plants.
is plenty of. 2 years doesn't feel brief when you're living
2
in Rochester.
formative years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 very long years.
Yeah. You spent half that time at Hamilton College.
I did. I was a refugee.
She fled to
I
Hamilton.
benefited so hardcore from you being miserable in Rochester.
Accurate.
You guys went to college together.
Yeah.
Basically.
Even though one of you was enrolled.
So David's father worked as an airport taxi driver in Rochester, and then David, too, was drawn to working at the airport.
Okay. The airport Hojo by the airport.
So when Burke grew up, he began working for a now defunct airline called U.S. Air.
Oh my God.
He
I
spent
love a defunct airline.
There's so many.
I know.
They just can't keep up. If Delta goes defunct and I lose my Sky Miles.
No.
I just bought my...
Don't speak it into existence.
I bought a ticket today to go celebrate something with a friend next month. Kenny knows what I mean. And it cost $11 because of my Sky Miles.
Because of the fees.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like $11 and some cents for taxes.
Delta cannot.
Delta can't go under.
belly up.
It makes up too much of my assets.
Yeah.
Right now.
I feel
all
like
my money's tied up in Delta Sky Miles right now. They cannot go anywhere.
I don't know what your case is, but I also have a feeling that all now defunct airlines are defunct for a fucking reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I don't know if this played into them being defunct. Maybe it did.
Okay.
Won't you take me to Defuncty Town?
Okay, so
Defunct town.
okay. So he spent 14 years working for the airline out of the Rochester airport in a variety of terminal-based jobs. So he was mainly working at like the desk at the terminal and not actually like on the aircraft most of the time.
Okay.
But during this time, suspicion lingered that Burke was involved with a drug smuggling ring that was bringing cocaine into Rochester from Jamaica via U.S. Air flights.
Okay.
This claim was based primarily on the fact that Burke, quote, kept stacks of cash, owned a home and several nice cars, including a BMW, a Mercedes, and a Lincoln, in that order.
Love it. I love a Lincoln. It's classy and practical.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't Mercedes be more expensive than a BMW?
Yes, that's what that was.
Okay.
So purchases that it seemed like he should not be able to afford on his salary and could only have been acquired through illicit means. So basically people were just like, your lifestyle doesn't really
match your salary.
Right. And U.S. Air flies to Jamaica and you're Jamaican and we're going to connect some dots here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other sources, however, state that Burke was financially secure because his parents had saved to buy him a house as a high school graduation present. They were...
It's possible.
I know. I wrote in parentheses, can you even fucking imagine?
You know, I would be willing to bet we went to high school with some people who got a gift like that.
I mean, we went to a very douchey, affluent high school.
Right. And I think, and his family was not douchey affluent. Again, his dad is an immigrant taxi driver. They're just very hardworking, middle class people who like saved every penny and then gave as much as they could to their kids.
So they did buy him a house?
That is according to some sources.
There's also buying a house and maintaining a mortgage. Like you don't just buy a house and you're like, here you go.
Yeah, maybe they gave him a down payment. Maybe they helped him cover a mortgage. Maybe it was an investment property that they already had and they let him live in it. Who fucking knows? I don't fucking know.
But still, high school graduation. I don't think I knew how to do laundry when I graduated high school.
Word.
I knew how to do laundry, but I definitely did not know how to do life.
I told you that my friend Ellen used, Schmellen, used fabric softener instead of detergent for her
like
first
years.
for our freshman year.
I probably tell somebody that story once a week. Schmellen.
She's like, my clothes smell so good.
I tell that story.
They've never actually been
constantly,
clean.
And I also think of her every single load of laundry that I do.
Oh, yeah.
So nice.
So anyway.
Oh, her underwear wasn't cleaned for a year.
Yep, we got it.
But smelled really soft.
Smelled real good.
Oh, no.
Okay, so
she did smell good.
So anyway, some people are saying he's stealing money through this drug smuggling thing because he works for the airline. Some are like, no, his parents worked really hard and saved and like got him a good start in life and he's just good with money.
Got it.
He did own a property quite young. However, he managed that. And then he sold it, eventually netting a profit of over $200,000 for the sale of these two properties. So he is making money just from savvy property investments.
It is an investment.
Yeah. So he was generally thought to be good at investing. Regardless, there was never any hard evidence that David Burke was involved with the drug smuggling, but the conjecture kind of remained.
Mm-hmm.
And now when we hear more about this guy, I lean towards it's a definite possibility. If he had been involved in a narcotics ring, that would have been really shitty given the fact that one of his brothers died of a heroin overdose in 1980.
That's
Oh,
rough.
no.
Anyway, so in part to escape these rumors and in part to reunite with an ex-girlfriend named Jackie Camacho. So Burke never married, but he definitely spread his wild oats. So he fathered 7 children by 4 different women before he turned 35.
Holy
That's busy.
shit.
Busy.
That is.
Them are some wild oats.
Much like Trump. So he made the decision to leave Rochester in 1986 and relocate to Los Angeles. So there's all these rumors. He's not getting along with coworkers, whatever. He's like, fuck it. I'm out of here. I'm going to LA. I want to
The
reunite.
pussy dried up.
He's drowning in children.
Fuck it. I'm too close to all my goddamn kids. I'm
gotta
moving
go.
to LA.
I'm fleeing the scene.
I also read that he was maybe demoted and forced to leave Rochester and move to LA while still working for the airline. I don't know if that's true. So in LA, he continued to work for US Air, which had recently been purchased by Pacific Southwest Airlines out of LAX as a ticketing agent. But after only about a year at LAX, he was caught on a security camera stealing receipts from in-flight cocktail sales. So presumably he was going to get rid of those receipts to make it look like those sales never took place so that he could pocket the cash from those sales.
Okay.
So he was now working on airplanes or?
No, he's still a ticketing agent, but I'm guessing the in-flight alcohol receipts go through that, desk job person.
Okay.
And anytime there was an alcohol sales receipt where somebody paid for it in cash, he would just lose that receipt and then take that
And
exact
it never
amount
happened.
in cash. And then it's like it never happened.
Interesting.
Balance the books.
Right. And the only thing that's missing is that, shot of vodka or whatever, and they're never going to know. So the theft was petty. The total that he was caught stealing amounted to just $69. But Burke was placed on leave pending an investigation and then ultimately fired. So they were like, we got to figure out if he's been doing this for a long time. Is he stealing other things? Is he embezzling? What's going on?
Yeah.
Also, it should be noted that back in 1984, David Burke had been arrested for shoplifting about $45 worth of goods from a local store, which again, he did not, it's not like he needed the money, like he was well off. But he was shoplifting and caught, and he pled down to a lesser charge of disorderly conduct. So I don't think his employer would have ever been notified.
Sure.
It kind of reminds me of Robert Durst, stealing that sandwich.
Right.
Yeah.
When he had that weird Band-Aid
like a
and the
compulsion.
shaved head. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
It's like
Winona Ryder.
it's like an ego thing, maybe.
Right? So afterwards, in an attempt to plead his case and be rehired, David Burke scheduled a meeting with his manager, a 48-year-old man named Ray Thompson. Even before David's dismissal for theft, these two men had had a contentious relationship. So Burke believed that Thompson had twice passed him over for promotions that he believed he was qualified for in favor of white employees who had significantly less experience than him. So David Burke, like I said, is Jamaican. He is black. Ray Thompson is white. And David Burke believed that his manager was giving these promotions to white people who had fewer years experience. And look, that's definitely possible. And that absolutely happens. It could also be the fact that in this particular case, the manager was getting wind of him doing shady shit.
Yeah. I mean, it could be both.
It could be both. Right. Exactly. So Actually, just a few months before he was fired, David had contacted the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing to report racial discrimination in the workplace. So he's unhappy with his manager. He feels like he's being discriminated against. And maybe that is what kind of spurred him to steal from the company. I don't know. I don't know, like, if it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario, I think. So he doesn't like his manager. His manager doesn't like him. He's threatened to sue in the past, and he's just been fired for being caught stealing. He's trying to have a conversation with the manager to get rehired. It's no surprise that this conversation did not go well. Burke's appeal to Thompson for his job back was unsuccessful, but rather than brood for a bit and then move on, this rejection sent Burke into a rage that would have tragic consequences beyond anyone's worst nightmares.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So at the end of the meeting, I read that Thompson was like kind of snarky, like, have a good day, whatever, as like Burke left the office.
Ooh.
And Burke was like, oh, I intend to.
Okay.
So
I do
directly
not like where this is going.
Yeah. Directly following this meeting with Thompson, Burke booked a one-way ticket on Pacific Southwest Airlines Flight 1771, which was a daily flight from Los Angeles, where he worked, to San Francisco. Again, it's a one-way ticket.
Right.
Burke knew that Thompson commuted from Los Angeles, where he worked, to his home in San Francisco, and that he would be on this daily flight. Burke didn't bring any luggage. He literally left this meeting that went poorly. He had just been fired and
got on a plane with the clothes on his back.
Got this one-way ticket with the clothes on his back.
Doesn't sound like he intended to come back.
The flight was scheduled to depart from LAX at 3:31 p.m. on December 7th, 1987, and arrive at San Francisco, whatever. I don't know.
International Airport.
San
SFO.
Francisco.
SFO. San Francisco or port.
Or port.
At 4:43 p.m. Burke borrowed a Smith & Wesson revolver, which I also read was a .44 Magnum, but maybe those things are not mutually exclusive. I don't know.
I don't understand guns at all.
Some handgun revolver thingy.
A weapon.
He borrowed it from a coworker who must have had it, I'm assuming, in their car, because he didn't go home at any point. And by using his U.S. Air employee credentials that had not yet been surrendered after his firing, he was able to bypass the airport's security checkpoints and go directly to the gate with the concealed weapon.
You would think that employees would still have to go through checkpoints. Because there are so many
this was
fucking
also
airport
pre-9/11
employees.
though.
Yeah, this was 87.
Oh,
So that's why. Because now they do. They still have to go through. They can go to the front of the line, but they still have to go through security.
So after boarding the plane, he wrote a message to Thompson on an airsick bag that read, quote, "Hi, Ray. I think it's sort of ironical that we end up like this. I asked for some leniency for my family. Remember? Well, I got none, and you'll get none."
Oh,
Okay.
no.
That's ominous.
What happened next is a matter of some speculation, but the most likely series of events based on recovered audio from the plane is as follows.
Oh, God. Recovered audio.
Black box. Oh, no.
About halfway through the flight, when the plane was at cruising altitude of 22,000 feet, Burke got up from his seat to go to the bathroom. It's unknown if he ever delivered his note on the airsick bag to Thompson, but if he did, it may have been as he walked from his seat to the plane's bathroom. And Thompson probably didn't even know that he was fucking on this flight.
No.
It's a flight that he took every single day. It's his daily commute. He's like,
Like eye contact with anyone else on a flight.
right? So it is believed that Burke entered the bathroom in order to load the gun he had concealed on him before exiting and returning to where Thompson was sitting.
Oh, no.
At this point, the plane's captain, Greg Lindemood, and its first officer, James Nunn, were communicating with air traffic control about upcoming turbulence when they heard the sound of 2 gunshots from the cabin.
Oh my God.
So this is believed to be Burke walking up to Thompson and shooting him. Twice.
That would have been very loud on an airplane, too.
Can you fucking
It'd
imagine?
be terrifying.
No.
That'd be so terrifying.
James Nunn, the first officer, reported to air traffic control that shots had been fired on the plane. This was the last communication between Flight 1771 and air traffic control.
Oof.
Based on audio recordings that were recovered later, at this point, a flight attendant named Deborah Neal entered the cockpit and told the crew, "We have a problem." Mm-hmm. Captain Linda Mood asked, "What's the problem?" To which Burke can be heard on the tape responding chillingly, "I'm the problem."
Oh, wow. That's dramatic.
Ew.
Ooh.
Based on later testimony, it is likely that Burke was able to gain access to the plane's cockpit because the access code was scratched into the door above the lock. So literally, like, it's like having like a Post-it note with like your password
On your computer
fucking
desktop.
computer. Yeah.
The fuck.
Lucy. Everyone's mom.
Transcribe.
Everyone's mom.
Everyone's mom.
Lot of moms. Lot of boomer moms with the Post-it note password.
With the password.
Oh, yeah. I put those into my bullet journal. It's fine. They're
I
not
write
on my
them somewhere
desktop anymore.
slightly less discreet.
They're coded.
More discreet.
They're all color coded. You wouldn't know what they are just looking at it.
Oh, see, that's good. If you put it in some kind of code,
It's coded.
then
Yeah.
that helps. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, you don't scratch it into the door above the lock.
No.
Yeah.
And you don't,
You don't.
hide your house key under the welcome mat.
or a key rock.
Or
Yeah.
the potted plant next to your door.
Yeah.
We all know.
Everybody fucking knows. So Burke's proclamation of "I'm the problem" was accompanied by the sound of a gunshot, which is believed to be him shooting flight attendant Deborah Neal.
Oh, Jesus.
None of these people had anything to do with what happened to him.
No. Even Ray Thompson
Even if
had
they
nothing.
did.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
He didn't, it's not even like his manager technically did anything wrong. Like, he
Right.
fucking was caught stealing. There's some sort of procedures in place.
He was
And
held
if-
accountable.
Yeah, and if he had already been demoted from one airport and then moved to you and then caught stealing, like, yeah, you're gonna get fucking fired.
Absolutely.
This gunshot, of which we believe is killing Deborah Neal, was followed soon after by the sound of 2 additional gunshots, most likely Burke shooting the captain and then the first officer. So now the plane has no one flying it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, Lucy, clearly he had no intention of surviving this. Because otherwise, what would be the fucking point? You're just
It was-
taking everybody down with you.
It was straight up maniacal revenge, period.
After a brief pause, a final gunshot is heard, and there's some debate over this last gunshot. Some people believe that it was Burke shooting a man named Douglas Arthur, who was another actual pilot who was on board as just a passenger.
Yeah,
'Cause,
and if he had survived, he likely could have at least landed the plane.
Right. So it's possible that he had like gotten up from his seat from these gunshots and like
Yo,
moved
this
towards-
is why we're duct taping people to airplane seats when they fucking act out on an airplane.
Yeah.
This is why.
anything could fucking happen and you could all fucking die.
I bet he shot himself.
Well,
Be
so
a lot
that-
quicker than going down.
Yeah.
So that's one theory, is that this pilot made this last minute heroic effort to like reach the cockpit and save the plane and was shot. And then others believe that the final shot was actually Burke turning the gun on himself.
Because he doesn't want to die in a plane crash.
Either way, it is the last sound that is heard on the plane's recordings, other than an increase in like windscreen noise as it pitched sharply downward and accelerated. And you might be thinking like, well, couldn't the plane kind of fly itself for a while, without human interaction? But the sharp downward angle of the plane has also been a matter of some speculation. So if Burke did not shoot himself, it's
Then he
possible
sabotaged.
it's possible that he took control of the plane and drove it downward before shooting himself, because there was that pause.
Yeah.
And if he had done that and it pitched enough, then that other pilot wouldn't have been able to like physically get to the cockpit.
That seems honestly very likely.
Right.
Also, like when he shot either of the people in the cockpit, maybe like their bodies might have like shoved the
Exactly.
throttle down.
Oh, yeah, the slumping.
So my next sentence, another theory is that if the captain and the first officer were shot from behind, they could have slumped onto the plane's control sticks and drove the plane steeply downward.
Seems entirely likely.
Look at both of you with just such clever observations.
We're astute.
We're
You
paying
are
attention
so
to the case.
astute.
I put the ass in astute.
Get it? That
I
ass.
put the
Amanda
IBS in business.
Amanda puts the toot in astute.
I do. I put the toot in astute. Accurate.
Okay, so. All right. Laugh it up. Next sentence.
I'm taking
good.
every opportunity I
Oh,
can.
good.
So, Flight 1771 crashed into a hillside on a cattle ranch in the Santa Lucia Mountains. It is estimated to have been traveling around 770 miles per hour at the time of impact.
Oh my god.
So, it disintegrated instantly.
Nope. That.
At least that was a quick death.
Yeah, but you're the people
You're
alive
crashing
all
down.
the way down.
Yeah, from 22,000 feet down.
Oh my god, it'd be a
I
horrible
know.
way to die.
Somebody can calculate how long that took.
No,
Not
I'm
me,
good. I'm good.
No, I'm okay.
How if it was 2 seconds? That's too long.
Right?
That'd be a
Yes.
horrible way to die.
Yes, of course, that would be. But also, if it hadn't crashed that quickly, then maybe there was like an oil spill and flames and people suffering for like
Right.
minutes after, you know what I
Right.
mean.
The actual physical pain would have been instantaneous.
Minimal.
But
I'm
the-
looking
the
for a
fear.
silver lining here because that 770 miles an hour is
That's
unfathomable.
too much. Too much. for me.
So all 43 people on board the plane were killed, including David Burke. So whether they were shot or they died in the crash, everybody died.
And they were so mangled that the detectives couldn't even figure out who was shot and who wasn't.
It is absolutely nuts what they're able to piece together from the wreckage, and we're about
Right.
to get to it.
and
It
the
is-
audio is
yeah.
helpful too.
It's amazing, actually. So, nearby residents who witnessed the crash and ran to the scene later reported that there were no human remains larger than a hand.
Oh my god.
A local water well driller named Paul Wiley recalled, quote, "I was hoping there would be somebody alive, but once you get over there, there's no chance of that."
Ugh.
Yeah, like he ran to the scene to try to help, and it was just like, okay, never
Nope.
mind. Like,
Yeah.
what can you fucking do? So emergency responders spent days digging through the wreckage of the plane. They eventually recovered portions of a handgun, 6 spent cartridges, and bizarrely, the note that Burke had written on the airstick bag, because
No
otherwise,
way.
how would they fucking know about it?
The
Yeah, true.
paper bag.
The paper bag
That's wild.
somehow survived.
Oh my god. Like in its entirety, too.
Yeah, enough
well, at
to
least
be read.
enough. I mean, I think they're lined with like wax or something, which I guess could help
They
keep them
are
from
because of
burning up,
vomit
but
leakage. But
that's still unbelievable.
the
Un-
fact that all the
Unbelievable.
no bodies survived.
Right.
That this paper bag, wax or not, is
Yeah, that's
fucking wild.
So actually, we will circle back to that because it is a very, very wild tidbit fact. So no portions of Ray Thompson's body, the initial target's body, were ever recovered, nor was the seat that he was sitting in.
Jesus.
But the seat directly behind his, which they know from like numbering of, the seats, and each fucking seat is inscribed with some number. The seat directly behind his, which was vacant for the flight, was identified in the wreckage and found to have 2 bullet holes in it,
Wow.
indicating
so
that
they
he
can piece
was
together.
shot from the front,
Those 2 shots that they heard initially.
Yep.
went through him and into the seat behind where he was sitting.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
These forensics are fucking wild.
So they also recovered a portion of one of Burke's fingers lodged in the gun's trigger guard.
Oh my god.
I know.
What? What?
Oh my god.
Yeah. What? You know. It sounds like
I'm speechless.
it sounds like an Agatha
bad
Christie
plot
thing.
twist.
Seriously.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Just the finger in the gun.
Yes. Yeah.
He fingered himself in this case.
He was caught red-fingered.
Yeah. So they were able to get
Severed
a fingerprint from this finger in the fucking gun's trigger
My
and identify
God.
Burke as the shooter.
Holy shit.
Sir, your finger.
This is fucking bomb.
Yeah. So the discovery has also been used to argue against the theory that Burke shot himself because the finger still being on the trigger might indicate that he was still alive and holding the gun at the moment of impact. But it's also possible that he could have shot himself and
then his hand went limp.
Yeah, the hand stayed around the gun. I don't know.
Oh my god.
So, in addition to this evidence recovered in the wreckage, which is fucking bonks, Burke's girlfriend, Jackie Camacho, also reported to authorities that Burke had left the following message on her answering machine the day of the flight.
Ooh.
Jackie, this is David. I'm on my way to San Francisco, flight 1771. I love you. I really wish I could say more, but I do love you.
Oh, that would be devastating to get.
Oh, God.
And then see what he did. I mean, this is a lot.
This is a lot.
So Camacho, Jackie, also reported that Burke had been abusive to her in the past and that his rage had escalated since losing his job. And there are reports of the abuse that he put Jackie through. It might have been why she moved to Los Angeles and then he was following her to Los Angeles. I don't know. That is speculation, but only a few days before the crash, Camacho said that Burke had held her and her 6-year-old daughter at gunpoint.
Oh, Jesus. So he had a gun himself. He had experience with a gun.
I mean, we don't know how long he had it, but he clearly had it before this.
Well, he
Quote, unquote,
borrowed the
hijacking.
gun, the airplane gun from a coworker. I'm just saying he himself had experience with firearms.
Well, because it was just the week leading up to the crash, I might have been mistaken in that he
Got the gun from
got
a
the
coworker.
gun from the coworker that quickly. Maybe he got the gun from the coworker and then like the next day went in. Maybe it wasn't the same day, but it was from a coworker. So I don't know. And maybe it was a different gun. I'm not sure.
Well, either way, it's
Because it just
it's
seems
a
like
pattern.
if you're planning to go down with the ship, why borrow the gun? Like if you had
If
your own
you
gun
had
at
your
home.
own.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless
he
it was a
didn't have it
spur of
on
the
him.
moment, disorganized sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
Still, David Burke's family were in total denial
That
of his
he
guilt.
had done this, yeah.
And they gave interviews to the press stating that they did not believe that he could have been responsible for the crash and that he was, quote, being framed. David's brother, his surviving brother, Altamont Burke, focused his suspicions in particular on the note that David had supposedly written on the airsick bag. Quote, they're trying to solve a case and he's the logical one to hang it on. How do you find a note like that on a plane that's smashed into a million pieces?
I mean, that's fair. I'd be suspicious too.
Yeah. We were.
Yeah, finishing the quote, he said, I don't believe any of that. Where did they find it? In the black box? And yeah, I agree. It's like pretty unbelievable, but there's also so much other.
I mean, freak shit like that does happen.
Right. Like part of that seat survived. Some human remains survived. It's not like everything was incinerated.
Right,
Some
right.
things survived, some things didn't. And also,
That was one of the things that survived.
and maybe like the physics, the force of the crash, it blew up the plane so that those lighter fragments
Yeah, or like
spread
floating and
Right.
and didn't just get incinerated. I don't
Right.
know. I don't
Yeah.
fucking know.
I don't
There's
fucking know.
there's
Someone
literally
knows.
no way to know.
Right.
I don't think
Some-
anyone knows.
Some scientist
nobody
out there
alive
has studied
knows.
this.
Sure.
But not everything was incinerated. It was just smashed to fucking smithereens, and a piece of fucking paper isn't going to hit on impact and break,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I don't know.
And
But
like I said, if there was some sort of explosion, like a an explosion, then it could have just flown. Oh, I don't know.
I understand his skepticism, and
and they're also grieving.
right.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So it's
yeah.
you don't want to believe that someone you love is capable of something like that.
Right. Right.
And
he
you'll tell
could-
yourself anything not to believe it. I get
could
that.
be right, too. Like,
He
he's
could
not,
be.
I mean, the government has done worse fucking frame
Absolutely.
jobs than this.
There doesn't seem to be much compelling reason for this to be a frame job from,
No.
from the information provided here.
I agree.
Right.
But
and also
that doesn't
the
mean it's not possible.
voicemail
Yeah.
Ahead of time,
is
I'm
pretty
getting on this
damning.
flight.
The
He
firing,
bought the
the
ticket.
voicemail,
Like, why did he buy a one-way ticket to San Francisco?
no luggage, the abuse.
Right.
It does line up. But
Right. So I think that he did do it, although I do agree that, like, the finger on the trigger being recovered and the airsick bag being recovered is, like, pretty
That's
phenomenal.
a lot. Yeah.
So several new federal laws were passed as a direct result of the Flight 1771 crash, including one that mandated, quote, immediate seizure of all airline and airport employee credentials after an employee's termination, resignation, or retirement from
So
an
they
airline.
can't
that should have been fucking apparent.
get into
from
back
the
rooms.
outside.
Right. Yeah. So, like, give me your badge, or like,
Right.
give me your keys. Like, it might seem like dramatic
Like
and
a cop.
overkill.
Give me your
Right.
gun and your badge.
Yeah.
Right.
Badge and
But
gun.
actually, it fucking makes a lot of sense.
Well, again,
I mean, if you
like you
get-
guys said, this was pre 9/11, so we didn't really.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I guess I didn't work for any kind of corporation in 1987, the year of my birth. But even now, like,
Slacker.
yeah, I know, right? You leave a company, whether you're fired or you just leave. Like
Hand
when
in
I
your
left, when I left Surly, it was like you hand over your keys, and then they like immediately disabled my access to any of the email stuff. Like I don't work there anymore, so I can't. I'm like, I can't access that stuff.
I worked
That's
at
just
a
like
corporate publisher, and
Yeah.
I had to hand over all my shit the day I was
exactly.
laid off.
That's just normal.
Yeah, because anyone can become a disgruntled, fired employee.
Yep.
So,
Wow.
a national policy was also implemented requiring that all airline flight crew and airport employees be subject to the same security measures as passengers. So, actually, that policy was from this
And not
incident
9/11.
and not 9/11.
Wow.
Well, which makes sense because 9/11 was not an employee.
Right.
It wasn't an inside job, quote unquote.
Right.
Bush did it, but it wasn't an airplane employee job. Airplane employee. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Also, one other like really weird and bizarre last little tidbit. So in the crash, the president of Chevron Motors, along with 3 other Chevron Motors top executives, all were killed in the crash. They were all flying together on the
wow.
same flight.
Oh,
so basically,
God.
like the entire top brass of Chevron.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Maybe it was an inside job.
And
But
so,
they're pitting on this guy.
no.
maybe.
Many corporations created policies that forbid multiple executives from traveling on the same flight.
Oh my god, it's like the president.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like parents. I think a lot of like parents of young kids, not all, but like sometimes families will have rules where it's like if the kids aren't traveling and the parents are traveling, then the parents have to go on separate flights so that at least one of them survives.
I don't know
I
a single
Don't
parent who
like
does that.
That's really fatal.
That's really inconvenient.
That might be for us people with generalized anxiety, but
That's beyond generalized anxiety. That's a little much.
I've
you
heard
go
of
on
that.
you go on like a romantic trip to Mexico and you have to fly separately.
In case one of the planes goes down.
that's what I've heard of.
I've never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
Really?
So
No.
weird. No, I've never heard of that.
I've heard of that like a lot.
Take your meds.
Yeah, take your meds.
On this ad break, please take your meds.
I didn't invent it. Whatever. Okay.
No, you just adhere to it.
You just blindly subscribe to it.
I think it makes sense.
Of course you do.
I don't want one of you bitches raising my hypothetical children.
Don't worry, I would not sign up for that.
No. Also,
That's all Blortney.
good thing we always travel together, because if our plane
Yeah.
goes down, the whole pod is over.
Yeah, it's true.
We're
Scott
not.
will take it over.
Yeah, Scott, this is an official transfer of our IP should we all die in a plane crash. Take it away, buddy.
We'll loop you in with our lawyer. We'll write something up.
All right. Well, that's my case.
Wow.
Great.
That was a wild ride.
fucking roller coaster.
All right. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors.
Do it.
If you know anything about the three of us, you probably know some of our true loves, and one of those loves is Best Fiends.
Mhm.
I get more and more into it with each passing day.
I do too.
I'm obsessed. And in my humble yet correct opinion, Best Fiends is the best match 3 style game by far. It's so much fun. There's these little like side quests. There's these cute little fiends. It's just the best way to like it's a weird combo of like turning off your brain, but also just getting like bursts of like dopamine. You feel like you're accomplishing something.
And
It's
you do
just
have to
amazing.
strategize a little bit, but you can also, it's also like really relaxing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how they strike that balance, but they do.
It is struck.
Yeah. So your like best fiends, you basically like collect these little characters, and your fiends, your little characters start out as like wee baby versions of their future selves, and then they like upgrade and grow. Like the more you play, more fiends can join your team, and the more powerful they become, and then they like help you solve these increasingly challenging puzzles as you progress through the game. And
You can compete to get them different outfits.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
Unreal.
it's really fun. And you know what? Not to brag, but I have made tremendous progress. I am on level 990.
I need 10 more to
I
get to
know.
4 digits.
I think I'm going to get to level 1000 today. You guys.
And there are literally thousands, so it like never ends. It's amazing.
And there's just always a fresh challenge waiting for me when I need like a little mental pick-me-up, or when I'm like vegging out on the couch watching Real Housewives. Like it's such a relaxing, fun game.
It really is. It brings us joy. So download Best Fiends free today on the App Store or Google Play. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. So I used to think that my skin goals were unattainable. And you know, you start using like skincare products when you're like, you know, in your teens, and you have drastically different needs when you're a teen versus when you're in your 20s, then when you're in your 30s, and it's just like every 5 years or so you just need to update and upgrade.
Absolutely.
And that can be a journey that might be complicated and difficult to navigate for some. And thankfully, we found the assistance that we needed and the products that we needed in Curology.
So I have PCOS, which involves hormonal acne. So I'm in my 30s. I definitely thought that I would be past having acne, but newsflash, I am not. And surprise! And so that is my top skin concern. And I've been using Curology now for, I think, over a year. And my skin is like radically better. Like it's amazing what Curology has done for my skin. And you know what? Even if acne is no longer your top concern, like maybe you care more about fine lines or dark spots, or you do still have like occasional breakouts or like clogged pores, but it's not like a consistent thing. Whatever your skin needs are, Curology will customize a prescription formula with 3 active ingredients picked for you to tackle your skincare needs. Also, I'm trying to conceive, and so a lot of the like typical ingredients that work to like fight acne, I can't use right now. And so Curology worked with me to find a formula that is like safe for me to use and still addresses my skin concerns.
Yeah, you got to talk to a real, actual person about this.
Exactly. So Curology matches you with a licensed dermatology provider who gets to know your skin, and if it's a good fit, you'll get a customized prescription cream to address your acne, fine lines, dark spots, and more. It was very easy to get that personalized treatment plan set up, and then it just ships your custom formula right to your door on like a regular basis. So it like knows magically when you're gonna be close to running out, and just a new box appears at your door.
It knows when I'm low.
Yeah.
It's magic.
It's so easy. It's just like you never have to deal with anything. It just ships right to you. It's great.
Couldn't be easier. So take control of acne, dark spots, breakouts, or whatever your unique concerns may be with a powerful skincare treatment made for you today. Go to Curology.com/gals, GALS, for a free 30-day trial. You just pay for shipping and handling. That's CUROLOGY.com/gals to unlock your free 30-day trial. See Curology.com for all the details and treat your skin.
All right, are we ready for my case?
I don't know.
It's
I feel like
not
I've been
quite-
emotionally beaten up this episode.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
Okay.
But if it helps, it's not just one case, it's multiples.
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
It's multiple bad things.
strikes. Okay.
You're going to love it. So I just want to start out by making something very clear from the top. Capitalist refusal to address climate change is the top crime, the criminality responsible for the stories in my segment. And that crime is compounded by the general stupidity of us humans.
Oh my God. We're so fucking stupid.
I know.
We
We're
really are.
so collectively fucking dumb.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So today I'm going to be talking about wildfires.
Great.
And like I said, while natural factors can and do cause fires like fucking lightning and shit, and their rapid spread and increasing frequency is a direct result of climate change, but the most common literal spark that ignites wildfires in the first place is caused by negligent or intentionally shitty humans.
Cool.
Cool.
Like, I didn't really realize that there are actual culpable individuals responsible for like a lot of the wildfires in the West.
Like people just like fucking up while camping or
We'll
like
get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
I read an article this morning about one of these people.
Maybe they're in there. Who knows? But
I
Our
just
first-
watched Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 9, in which Camille's house burns down and
well,
Denise is
One
almost
of her
dead.
houses.
sometimes burning down Camille's house is a mercy.
Oh yeah, no notes.
No notes, nature.
But I think
Good
there
on
were
ya.
some actual victims.
She only had 3 homes then.
I can't. So our first featured dingus today is the legendary Johnny Cash.
What?
Oh, God.
It's well known that Cash adapted to a meteoric and swift rise to fame with alcohol, amphetamines, and barbiturates. And in June of 1965, he took a drug-laden fishing and camping trip with his nephew in Los Padres National Forest, which is located in California just outside of Santa Barbara.
We're talking about actual Johnny Cash.
Actual Johnny
Cash.
Cash, the singer Johnny Cash.
Ring of
Ever
Fire.
since the Groupie Crimes episode, I just kind of get off on ruining people's heroes for them. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
While camping, Johnny started a fire that he claimed was sparked by a defective exhaust system in his truck. He had like a camper that he was pulling with a pickup truck. But investigators believe the more likely story that he lit a camping fire to like cook and stay warm and then passed out due to drugs and alcohol, leaving the fire unattended.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, and his nephew was even like, yeah, that's what happened.
Oh,
So, quote, response was rapid. It was the potential of a giant fire, a Forest Service spokesman told reporters. One account says Cash tried to swat it out and was injured, but Damon, his nephew, claims the injury occurred when he, Damon, struck Cash with a stick before dragging him away from a growing ring of fire. 'Cause, like, he kept
Ring
like
of
literal
fire.
ring of fire. He was
was like,
trying to put it out, and he
Dude,
was
cut it the
wasted.
fuck out.
And
Yeah.
his nephew is like, you're gonna die. We need to fucking go. And to get him to like comply and to hit him over the head with a stick.
Or to wake him
Oh
up.
my God.
Well, no, he found him like trying to
Oh,
beat the
okay.
flames down, but
But
yeah.
wasted, maybe.
Yes.
Probably.
So at 4:30 p.m., lookouts reported the smoke, and 100 firefighters quickly poured in, along with helijumpers and 5 air tankers, end quote.
Holy
Johnny and his nephew got out safely, but the fire grew rapidly, making its way north toward McDonald Peak, which is home to the Sespe Wildlife Area, a refuge for endangered condors.
Oh,
The fire-
no.
Are those birds or
Yeah.
dinosaurs?
They're big
well,
birds.
They're basically
That's
dinosaur
same thing.
birds. The fire destroyed 508 acres, burning the foliage off 3 mountains and driving off 49 of the refuge's 53 endangered condors.
Oh my
It's
God.
unclear how many condors died as a result of this fire and how many simply fled the area.
and
There
how
are, like,
many nests
conflicting-
were fucked and
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah.
almost all of the nests were burned. Johnny Cash was a complete douchebag about the whole thing. So he recounted his own interview with police in a later interview and said, quote, "I was such a mess that I didn't care. I went into the depositions full of amphetamines and arrogance, refusing to answer their questions straight. Did you start this fire? No, my truck did, and it's dead, so you can't question it. Do you feel
Okay.
bad about what you did? Well, I feel pretty good right now. But how about driving all those condors out of the refuge? You mean those yellow buzzards? Yes, Mr. Cash, those yellow buzzards. I don't give a damn about your yellow buzzards. Why should I care?" And so on. It was just ugly. That's all.
What a fucking douchebag.
And he was already a celebrity at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he struggled with substance use disorder, and that played a huge role in this behavior. But, like, total dick move.
Yeah.
This is from writer and historian Stephen J. Pine. Quote, "The U.S. District Attorney sued him for $125,172.52, which in 2017...
52 cents.
52 cents, which in 2017 would have been just under $1 million. That in current money when this was written. It got uglier when the Tribal Indian Land Rights Association of Van Nuys filed a retaliatory claim against the government on behalf of Cash, who was part Cherokee, threatening to lay claim to all national forest land in Southern California. Cash eventually settled in, I don't think it went far. Cash eventually settled in 1969 for $82,000 and blasted the federal government, asserting that he was the only person ever sued for starting a fire. He wasn't, but neither of the other 2 celebrity writers who have admitted to starting wildfires, Henry Thoreau outside Concord and Mark Twain on the shores of Lake Tahoe, were hauled before magistrates. End
Oh,
quote.
my God.
So
it's
Johnny
a
Cash was part Cherokee? I did not know that. I knew that his wife, or one of his first wife, I think, was like black, but they like hid the fact that she was black and made it pretend like she was white for decades.
I don't know a whole lot about Johnny Cash, to be perfectly honest. Hot take, I think he's overrated.
Yeah.
But I
so,
think
too.
most things are overrated.
Yeah.
Moving on. In 2018, a 51-year-old conspiracy theorist in California repeatedly texted authorities threatening that, quote, "this place is going to burn," before igniting what became known as the Holy Fire, which set over 10,000 acres ablaze at the Cleveland National Forest in Southern California.
Jesus Christ.
The fire forced evacuation of over 20,000 area residents. This is from the Washington Post. Quote, "Mike Milligan, 71, who calls himself a volunteer firefighter and chief, said in an interview with the Washington Post that he has been flagging problems with suspect Forrest Gordon Clark for more than 3 years. He said he alerted the U.S. Forest Service that, quote, "you have to do something or he's going to kill someone or burn this place down." Milligan said he received several texts from Clark last week threatening to start a fire. Quote, "in a text, he said this place is going to burn just like we planned," Milligan said, adding that he reported it to the sheriff's office and again to the U.S. Forest Service. "Why the hell didn't they respond? I reported this over and over again."
So
I
this
just want to go quickly back to
arsonist-
Johnny Cash.
Oh.
He thought that he was 1/4 Cherokee,
But actually wasn't.
but actually was not, and found out that he was not in the 90s. And
That
then
sounds like some
recanted.
fucking white bullshit.
It
Yeah,
really-
exactly. Yeah,
really
it
does.
was a real classic thing. But anyway,
Okay, so this suspected arsonist is texting a firefighter being like, "I'm going to burn this shit down."
Yep.
holy shit.
Gordon Clark had been living in the tiny and reclusive area for years and had a history of volatile disputes with his neighbors who rented nearby recreational cabins. The parcel of land that Gordon lived on is actually owned by the federal government, and the cabins on it are zoned to be part-time recreational residences, not year-round homes. But Gordon didn't seem to care, and neither did the feds. He just lived there year-round, and it was like, well, as long as you're not really bothering anybody, like, whatever. But he would just get into, like, he was like cranky old white mountain man.
Mm-hmm.
And so
living in a cabin, whatever.
Exactly.
And they were like, you're too pissy to even fucking deal with it.
Pretty much.
When has that ever been a problem?
I know.
Cranky,
Never backfires.
Isolated white man living illegally in a cabin on federal land.
Oh, yeah.
Threatening firefighters via text message.
Well,
Never
and
been an issue.
He was known to engage in conspiracy theories, and it really seems to me, from like the little bit I read about him, that there's like sovereign citizen shit going on here too. Like he's one of those guys.
Of course.
Yeah. So he was charged with suspicion of aggravated arson with the intent to cause injury to another or damage property, arson of an inhabited property, arson of forest, making criminal threats, and resisting arrest, of course. He claimed to have been asleep and have no knowledge of what started the fires, and claimed that, quote, gang bangers were out to get him.
I'm sure.
From Chicago.
I'm sure,
Right.
Gordon.
At your reclusive cabin in the woods.
Christ.
It's just, we can safely assume this old white mountain man is not firing on all cylinders.
These people have the same talking points across
Always.
the board.
I know. And they're all fucking Looney Tunes and super racist.
It's really pathetic.
The last update I could find on this guy was from January of 2019, at which time he was preparing for trial and entered a plea of not guilty. With how long it takes for all this shit to even go to court, I imagine he hasn't finished his trial yet because of COVID. So
I just want to point out that in Amanda's notes, there's a typo, and not guilty is written as not guilts.
Not guilts. Which looks like quilts. I'm going to change it.
Sans
Not
guilts.
Not guilts.
Updated. Saul's guilts.
Your Honor, I plead not guilts.
Not guilts. Soup's not guilt.
Soup's not guilt.
Toads,
So-
not guilts.
Oh, it's not guilt. So if anyone knows what his deal is, or if he's still awaiting trial and you have that information, tweet me, baby. And of course, I couldn't cover this topic without bringing up the infamous gender reveal wildfire
Yes.
of September 2020. You guys, it was way worse.
Gender reveals.
Yeah, we
They're
shouldn't
so
laugh.
fucking gross.
They're fucking horrible, and I will focus on them for the rest of my time here. So just lean in.
I would like to buy a vowel.
I would like to buy the banishment of gender reveals. This was so fucking bad, and even more egregious because the event was hosted during what was already a record-breaking year for fires and heat and drought in California, with ample warnings and restrictions on like burning, using fireworks. Like this was all already in place. This couple hosted a gender reveal party where a smoke bomb would be used to reveal either blue or pink smoke, indicating the gender of their baby. Why do people fucking need to do this?
I don't know. I fucking
So-
hate
You
it.
don't!
This is going to sound really stupid, but a smoke bomb involves fire.
We'll get to it
Okay.
because I explained
Was
it.
that a question?
We're about to get
It
to
makes
it right now.
sense.
My next sentence. The smoke bomb is a legal, quote, smoke generating pyrotechnic device that works like a small firework by a small internal ignition, or sometimes they also have like a little, what is that? Not like a wick. It's like a wick, but
A fuse?
a fuse, yes. So it lights like a powder that generates smoke in
So
different
it's still
colors.
explosive, essentially. There's
Yeah,
a
right.
flame involved. There are
Absolutely.
explosives
So
involved.
there shouldn't be
Yes.
a large flame, but there is a spark. There's something fire.
And
in
literally,
super hot, dry
when it's
environments.
In these conditions, there's a I didn't cover this, but there's a wildfire pretty recently that somebody caused by like using a hammer in the middle of the day. Like hitting a
Wow.
nail, and that caused a spark, and that caused a wildfire that took
Holy
out thousands of
shit.
acres
It
of land in
just
California.
takes a spark.
It takes next to nothing for this shit to happen.
I just want to flag that I am on that line of being dumb enough to not have put together
Sure.
smoke bomb equals firework and
Yeah,
fireworks are forbidden.
Maybe sitting
what I
at
mean?
home hearing the story, yes. But when you like go to the store to purchase something like this, it's packaged like a firework.
True. That's true.
You know, like it's not, and you have to light it to make it go off.
Right.
So like
that's
these
true.
people knew exactly what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, all
and
right, if you're
exactly
lighting
what fucking
something.
risk
Yeah.
it is. So there was a video because people were there for this gender reveal party. So they're like taking cell phone video of this. And this party was held in El Dorado Ranch Park. And the couple in the video, which wasn't released to the general public, this is just details from like the court shit. But the couple can be seen lighting the device with partygoers watching for the smoke. The device then lights the grass in the surrounding area, and members of the group scramble to grab water bottles to put the fire out. They were clearly unsuccessful and fled the area and called the authorities. The fire began on September 5th of 2020 and burned for 23 days straight, burning upwards of 22,000 acres, destroying 5 homes and 15 additional buildings, evacuating hundreds, injuring 13, and killing 1 firefighter who was working on putting out the blaze.
My
Oh
God.
my God. All from a single smoke
All from
bomb.
somebody's stupid fucking gender reveal party.
Also, gender's a spectrum.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
the
you can't know it
firefighter-
from the genitalia of an infant.
Nope. The firefighter's name was Charlie Morton. He was 39 years old and engaged to be married. His fiance had a daughter who was not his.
Oh.
He'd been a firefighter for 18 years, so he started that was like his first and only career.
Ugh.
The couple was charged with involuntary manslaughter, 3 felony counts of recklessly causing a fire with great bodily injury, 4 felony counts of recklessly causing a fire to inhabited structures, and 22 misdemeanor counts of recklessly causing fire to property. Again, due to COVID delays, this was in September of 2020, so like COVID was here. They're due back in court in September of this year, 2021. The gender of their child has remained unreleased. So after all that, I don't even fucking know if it was pink or blue smoke.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Maybe it was purple. Because
Yo.
again, gender is a spectrum.
I know. So
Oh
that
my God.
particular gender reveal related wildfire was like one of the biggest and worst, but not the first
And not the only.
and not the only. In
I've
2017,
seen video of them.
oh yeah, it's bad. In 2017, a fire erupted in Arizona because of an absolutely ludicrous gender reveal stunt. Dennis Dickey, I cannot.
Dennis Blue Smoke.
I had to pause when I was writing this and like take a walk. A 37-year-old border patrol agent-ish,
All right. I already don't like this guy.
Officer Dickey, pled Soup's guilt in early 2018 for starting a wildfire by shooting a rifle at a target intended to reveal the gender of his baby.
Oh, I think
Like-
this is the
like
one I
a-
saw.
Like a fucking, what are those called? Pigeon? Clay pigeon?
Yeah, and then that debris would be pink or blue.
Oh, maybe that's not the
there's-
one I saw.
Oh, no, it's worse than that. So
God.
the target was filled with a colored dust that would explode pink or blue when struck with a bullet because the target contained tannerite, a highly explosive substance. And when struck by the bullet, it sparked a fire that engulfed over 45,000 acres in the Colorado National Forest, causing more than $8 million in damage, took 800 firefighters to contain. Thankfully, it was like almost all, well, not thankfully, I mean, structures didn't get hit, but it was like a fuck ton of this national forest got super messed up.
So this
Oh
fucking
my
dude
God.
Took out,
essentially shot
an
a
explosive clay pigeon. Yeah, shot a firework to get it to poof and show the smoke that would be either pink or blue. Shot it with a gun out of the air in Arizona in 2017 during another very hot, very risky fire season. And he
what the
is a
fuck is
fucking
wrong
border
with
patrol
people?
agent, so like he works for, law enforcement
Whatever
essentially.
happened to food coloring?
Right?
If
The
you
cake.
if you
The-
fucking
the cake full of
insist
sprinkles.
on doing this antiquated.
Get a fucking cake.
Yeah, get a cake, pop
I
a
just-
pinata.
Yes. This shit is
Why with the
so absurd.
pyrotechnics?
I don't know. We're pathetic. The human race is fucking pathetic.
I follow somebody on Facebook that had a gender reveal where it was, you guys are going to gag. It was like a crotch rocket, like motorcycle.
Yes, I've seen
and
this
it
video.
had like
It
a
went viral.
packet of powder in the exhaust. And
Yeah.
when the dad revved the engine, it blew out.
It
I
farted
think
out
it blew out
baby
pink smoke, and he was like devastated, like openly devastated. That's
We
the
are
thing.
the human race is trash. We are fucking trash.
I also fucking hate it when dads see pink, like they're having a girl,
I know.
and they get like upset. I
Anytime,
fucking can't.
first of all, having one of these fucking parties and making such a big to-do over it is fucking gross and tacky.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, having a negative reaction
To the gender of
either
your
one,
child.
It's
Yeah.
50-50, folks.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're gonna publicly have a negative reaction.
I'm all about
child?
celebrating your child journey in any way that you see fit, as long as it is safe and not like egregiously fucking damaging and disgusting.
and
Which,
tacky.
like, this kind of shit, if you want to have your cake and have your friends over and your family and, like, celebrate this milestone with your loved ones, abso-fucking-lutely.
I
If that's
will
your
You do
say,
you. I
go
don't
for
agree
it,
with
if
gender
that's your
reveals
thing.
in the first place, but, like, whatever. It's what it's. But this shit, It's not okay. It's dangerous. People fucking die. People literally fucking die. So he agreed to 5 years of probation and repayment of the $8 million in damages, but he will never pay that back.
yeah, he's never gonna make that amount of money in his life.
The agreement that he has currently in place is to pay $500 a month for 20 years, which, if you do the math,
Oh,
is
no.
$220,000.
I mean,
that's
it
just
sucks.
a hair shy of $8 million.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a large car payment every month, but it's
a really fucking nice car payment.
It's a
to
slap
month.
on the wrist for
Right.
ruining a national forest.
Right.
And from NBC News, quote, Dickey also agreed to star in a public service announcement with the U.S. Forest Service.
Okay, unless he's
Is
going
it-
on camera being
as-
like, "Don't be a fucking idiot,
Idiot
like,
like
me.
me." Yeah.
Here's what I
unless
did."
they're shooting him out of a rocket and
Right.
firing at him.
Yeah. Don't do this.
So
He has an
explodes.
apple on the top of his head that's filled with pink or blue
I could have
explosive powder.
I could have Googled, like, Dennis Dickey public service announcement to see if I could have found the video, but I, like, didn't have it in me. Kenyon's on it.
I'm doing it.
So I'm going to wrap this up by hammering home how these gender reveal parties are the worst. In 2019, a woman died because a homemade smoke bomb that was actually a fucking pipe bomb for a gender reveal exploded at a party in Iowa.
Have you seen- sorry.
Heard about this? I heard about this.
Yeah, this is
Have
from
you
CNN.
seen the photos? Sorry, I'm back to Dickey. Have you seen the photos of this explosion? Okay, first of all, it's blue smoke.
Oh my god, it's a huge explosion. It looks like something out of like it's like warfare.
Apparently, he had several missed shots before he hit the target.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, sorry. Now you can move on to this next story.
Ugh.
I'm just not over Dickey.
That's okay. I'll never get over Dickey.
Dickey lingers.
He also
Dicky-
has a flavor
Dicky
saver.
Langers.
He has a little flavor saver.
Oh, yeah, no, that I did see this picture. It's fucking bonks. Disgusting.
Okay.
This is from CNN, and this is nuts. Like, nuts. Quote, Pamela Kremeyer, 56, was killed when a piece of shrapnel from the device struck her in the head at the Saturday soiree in rural Knoxville, about 40 miles southeast of Des Moines. Members of Kremeyer's family got together Friday to begin experimenting with different types of explosive material in hopes of creating a gender reveal device and recording the unveiling for friends and family on social media. Quote, on Saturday afternoon, 5 family members and the expectant mother gathered and placed gunpowder in the bottom of a homemade stand that was welded to a metal base plate.
They made their own IED.
Yeah.
She wasn't the mother,
No, she was the grandmother. She was the mother of the woman who was pregnant. They drilled a hole
God.
in the side of the stand to install a fuse and placed a piece of wood on top of the gunpowder before adding colored powder, indicating the baby's gender. The idea was that once the gunpowder ignited, it would launch the powder into the air, gently. Typically blue for a boy or pink for a girl. But when the family members placed tape over the top of the metal tubing, they inadvertently created a pipe bomb.
No shit.
Once the device was lit, the metal tubing exploded, sending shrapnel flying.
Oh,
And it
my
hit this woman
God.
in the fucking face and killed her instantly.
Oh my
Christ.
God.
The mother.
No.
The mother of the mother.
Yeah, the grandmother
Oh,
of the pending child.
right.
And
Pending child.
And again in 2019, a plane crashed in Texas because of an idiotic gender reveal stunt. Again from CNN, quote, another gender reveal stunt went horribly wrong and led to a recent plane crash in Texas, according to a National Transportation Safety Board accident report. The pilot was flying a plane, it's like a single engine plane, at a low altitude on September 7th as part of an elaborate gender reveal for a friend. The pilot dumped 350 gallons of pink water from the plane, but the plane was too slow and immediately stalled. The pilot, thank God, wasn't injured in the crash in Turkey, Texas, about 100 miles southeast of Amarillo, which I've been to. It's so pretty. Not Turkey, but Amarillo.
Turkey, Texas.
So pretty.
That's where Palo Duro Canyon is, and it's amazing. The plane's other passenger had minor injuries, and the plane was designed to carry only one person. So there's two people in it, and then a full...
And 350 gallons of water.
Which, like, I think the
Pink
plane, it's like an
water.
irrigation vessel. So, like, that part it's made
Okay.
for, but then you can't fucking add more weight to the plane. The stupidity of some of this shit. Just get a fucking cake, have somebody hide a penis or whatever in it, paint it fucking blue
I
inside.
think that's more of a bachelor.
Just get a dick cake.
It's essentially the same fucking thing. We're talking about genitals.
A bachelorette
Get a
move,
fucking
but-
erotic cake.
It comes down to genitals either way. It's fucking gross.
Thank you.
I hate it. I hate it.
I can't wait to plan your gender reveals. I'm just going to get erotic cakes that are either blue or pink inside, but the cake isn't going to have anything to do with your
No,
child.
the cake has a spectrum of genitalia, including a penis and a vagina, and then maybe some
Everything
sort of
in between.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside it has a color.
Done. That's a gender reveal that I can get behind.
I just want
if
a
we
black.
have to have
I want a
them.
black box that when the lid is lifted, a bunch of bats are gonna fly out. It'll just say, "It's a human."
It has genitalia.
It's alive.
Hopefully, it's healthy.
Oh my God.
Fuck, man.
Anyway, those are my dives into forest fires, and then a couple quick, please don't be one of these gender reveal people blurbs at the end.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of disasters. I'm
was
a
a lot.
disaster.
This was
I'm a
rough
disaster.
episode. Why was this so rough?
I screamed a lot. My throat hurts from this
know.
episode.
I need tea.
I
Thanks,
just want to
Jennifer
get cozy.
Matarese.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jennifer M.
I'm
Jennifer
just gonna get cozy and make
Matarese.
some tea to comfort myself.
Matarese,
I gotta
fucking
put on an
know.
oversized hoodie
need
as
to
soon
go.
as possible.
We
I'm
need
gonna
to
go into the woods and just start lighting some fires.
Start texting some fire chiefs about how this whole place is gonna burn,
Oh,
and then
no.
rolling up in your cabin.
If you light
Ew.
a fire, but then you just blow blue or pink smoke at it, then you're not criminally liable.
There you go.
But you might be criminally negligent.
I
All right. We love
can't.
you. We'll talk
I
to
gotta
you
go.
next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip, music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell, editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support and get a shout out on air, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers.